made the ring lands very, very thin, so there any detonation at all in this thing, and it'll rattle and crack the piston.
Take another pull, see if we can back it up. All right. No changes.
Alright guys, so for those that are following along with the 392 build, I kind of want to catch you guys up to date. What's the next phase and everything, and I kind of want Ted to touch on some of the drawbacks of putting a forced air setup on basically a stock 392 bottom end. Now before I kick it off and shoot it over to Ted over at Genetti Racing, I'm going to catch everybody up really quick. So far, the 392 has an air intake, a larger hellcat throttle body, long tube headers, and green cats. Okay, and so the idea is to optimize the air going in and out of the 392 to set up the next phase, which is forced air. Now, they're currently looking into a bunch of different types of forced air. You have your classic roots blower, which is, basically like what a hellcat has. You take your intake manifold off, plop a roots blower on, and the 392 will be able to keep, obviously, the air intake that is currently installed, along with the throttle body. The next option that's on the table is a centrifugal force type of procharger, which kind of looks like a turbo. It's a belt-driven turbo, essentially. At that point, most likely the air intake can be kept along with the throttle body, and the intake manifold will stay in place, which is what I like. I like the 392 intake manifold. The long to short runners kind of optimizes, how the air gets fed into the heads, and I think that's a big advantage. So, that's the second option that's on the table. And then the third, and the most uncommon, is a turbo. Okay. And I am not sure, which turbo setup they're currently looking at. I know that the turbo setup would be, obviously, it's exhaust driven. I think it hooks up to the back of the vehicle, and a lot of the piping is underneath the car. So if you pop your hood, not many people will know that you have some kind of a forced air setup. The intake would obviously be altered. The throttle body and the intake manifold would stay in place. So, a lot of different options are being thrown on the table at this particular point. I am not sure exactly, what the game plan is. But I know that Ted and the owner of the vehicle are discussing which avenue they should go in. But, there's one big flaw that the 392 has, and, kind of the 5.7 also, to a degree, has this, and that is how much money you have to spend on a forced air setup, and how much PSI you can actually run on a stock bottom end. Now to, get more technical into this, I'm going to kick it over to Ted, and he's going to discuss what the 392, why the 392 is so limited to such a low PSI. So with that being said,
we're going to talk about possibly doing some sort of forced induction on this. I got a couple of feelers out right now. We know that the 6.4 pistons are a little bit on the weak side, so we're going to take that into consideration. We may only go 5 or 6 pounds of boost, and I would expect, if we're making 450 now, 600 wheels should be a walk in the park. If we pop a set of pistons in it, then the sky's the limit. We can do a lot more. I don't know about the sky, but we definitely could do a lot more with it.
Yeah, for sure.
Pistons in it. What they did with this motor is they raised the ring very, very, very close to the top of the piston for emissions reasons.
Okay.
So that it runs cleaner.
Right.
Okay, so, and in doing so, it made the ring lands very, very thin, so there any detonation at all in this thing, and it'll rattle and crack the pistons, so we don't want to do that. Guys have been successful, 5-6 pounds of boost on this motor. Like I said, we had a couple feelers out. I'm not going to make any predictions as to which way we're going to go yet, but we're talking to a couple different people, and we may do something really interesting.
So that is basically where the 392 is at, and until, you know, a decision is made, there is just, you know, there might not be as much 392 content that is going to be filtered onto the channel. It's certainly an interesting project, and I'm glad that I'm, you know, putting this content out there. It's really showing, you know, what kind of power you guys can expect with some bolt-ons and all that kind of good stuff. So the forced air setup is definitely a big decision, and as soon as it's made and, you know, once the pieces are in place, I will pick up, you know, right where we left off. Now to hit on a couple other topics, with the Charger, the game plan is to get the drag radials onto the back and test out the current setup. I feel like with grip, I mean, this thing is going to be, I think it's going to crack into the 3s, 0 to 60s. I could be wrong. And then I'm going to try the 1/8 mile. As you guys saw in the prior video against the Durango, this thing ran, and this was on crappy tires, an 8.2 in the 1/8 mile. So I might be hitting into those 7s now. So, you know, 0 to 100, this thing is feeling like an absolute monster. And, you know, I'm kind of saving up for, you know, something big for the channel. It's not necessarily for, you know, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's for the RT. So, you know, you guys are going to have to, you know, kind of be patient with me on the next big thing for the channel. And, you know, I uploaded a Sunday Fun Day video, if anybody wants to check that out. I didn't, like, notify everybody. It's not a typical car video. It's, it was inspired by H3 Productions. They did a fun video where, you know, they were kind of just dancing and whatnot. And, you know, there was a song that I've used so many times in all of my videos. And I like loading up these shock of songs so that when people ask me, you know, where is this song? Where can I listen to the full beat? I can point them in the right direction. So instead of making like a car video, I just had a little fun with it. My wife and son, you know, kind of danced, and we just had fun making a small video. And each time that I use that song now, I can point people into that direction of where to actually listen to the full song. So that's why I didn't notify you guys. I didn't think it was going to be something that anybody would really care to watch. So all right, well, that's really, you know, what I have to say about the rest of everything else. Guys, I really do appreciate the support. You guys are awesome. The channel is growing at an awesome pace, and I really do appreciate it. You know, all the support that this channel keeps getting. You guys are awesome. So with that being said, I am out.
Is there still a glare? No glare?
No.
It's 5 to 2. I'm gonna lay it down, even more of an ass whooping. Here we go. The name of the game is cornhole. Polio. Ooh. Just a bit outside. That didn't feel right as soon as it left my fingers. I think the camera is messing me up. It's got my mojo all off. It's adding some pressure. All right, I'm gonna get it right up in that cornhole. You ready? Here we go. Feeling it, feeling the groove. There it is. There it is.